we go.
You're on.
The hooks we're going to use are the size 12 must-have. The beads, I believe, were a 5/16 wasabi. And this fly can be tied in a, like I said, again, from 20 all the way down to a 6. We're doing it on 12. When you put your bead on your hook, you want to look that there's a small side. The camera can see it or not, but there's a big hole and a little hole in that bead. You want to take the hook and put it in the little hole. And the reason why you want to put the hook in the little hole, once I get it in there, and I get it up to the camera, and I'll try to hold this up to the camera. All right, is that the bead will sit up on the eye. If the big hole was forward, then the bead would cover the eye of the hook, and you'd have a very difficult time trying to get your fishing line on that fly to tie it on. So, and that goes for all beads. So go ahead, and then you would clamp your vise, clamp your hook in your vise. I always like to bring my vise up almost at 45 degrees. Let me
I'll adjust the camera.
adjust the camera as we do this.
Have to bring it back just a smidgen because we're going off.
No problem.
That way. There you go.
Okay.
All right, you're good.
And everybody has the directions beside them, so in case they don't hear me, am I speaking loud enough for everybody?
What?
Okay, so then you want to dress your hook with a jam knot, and all a jam knot is wrap your thread on the barb, and then flip the thread, the tag end, be over it, go a couple times over it that way, and then flip it back, and then that keeps your thread from slipping on the bare shank of the hook. You want to have thread on the bare hook because that helps your material stay put. If you try to tie material on a bare metal shank, it's very, very slippery and difficult.
How close to the bend do you go?
We're going all the way down to the bend, right where the barb would be, but on these hooks there is no bend, so if you can see that the thread is just past the point. Move this out of the way. Can you guys see that on there?
It's kind of black on black. There you go.
There we go. Now we're cooking with gas.
And then you're winding back to the eye?
All right, right now we're leaving the thread sit like just past the point of the hook.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now what you want to do is you want to grab a bundle of fibers, probably about 5 or 6, out of the middle. All right, 5 or 6, pull them 90 degrees to the stem. All right, so you want to pull them 90 degrees to the stem. And by doing that, you're aligning the tips of the very ends of these fibers. So just grab a bunch, 5 or 6, give it a clip. Try to keep those tips aligned. Okay. Now, going back to the handout that we showed you here, it kind of gives you the proportions of the tail to the fly. Okay. So you want to look at the pheasant tail itself, the tips, and align it to the shank. And then transfer that measurement backwards to the rear, right where that thread is. And then you're going to switch hands. And you're going to do with 2 thread wraps. They're called pinch wraps. And what a pinch wrap is when you bring the thread up into your finger and thumb and then bring it back down. That's 1 pinch wrap. Look at it. See where your tail is in proportion to the hook. You might need to slide a little bit forward. You might need to move it a little bit back. And then if you like where it is, then give it 1 more wrap, and that's it. Because all you're doing is holding it in place. Then fold that out of the way, fold your fibers out of your way and go up the shank one more time with a nice, lay a nice base of thread. Okay. Now you're going to grab your wire, step 6, grab your wire, about a 6-inch piece. You're going to stick your wire right up underneath the bead, the head of that bead. And you want to capture it. And then just capture that wire. Try to keep that wire on top of the shank of the hook as you go rearward down the shank. So go nice and easy, nice tight close wraps all the way down to where those very first 2 wraps were on the pheasant tail. Okay? Once we get down there and we have our wire secured, we're going to bring our thread back up the shank of the hook.
Anybody see the
Almost
black thread here?
Right here.
almost to the bead. Okay? And then just kind of let your thread kind of dangle and stay out of the way. These are really fragile materials you're using. And when you take the pheasant tail, you want to have close, flat wraps going around the hook. I thought we were watching, not doing. I thought we were watching and not doing. Well, why is everybody doing stuff? That's what I was explaining. Yeah, I'm showing you how to do this. Then we have a video that will repeat it.
We're with you.
You guys wonder why everybody was chit-chattering so much, and I was trying to ignore it. But everybody put your tools down for a second.
All right, stop. We're good.
All right? And that's why I gave you the step-by-step handout also. All right? So everybody just kind of observe for right now. All right? So then we bring our thread. We're on step 6, right? Or 7 now. We cut our 6-inch piece of wire. We tied it, ran a base of thread. 8, wrap the thread all the way back up from the first 2 wraps forward to the bead head. Those first 2 wraps were back here by the tail. All right? Now we're going to actually, step 9, tie the body / abdomen just over the halfway point of the shank. All right? And you're going to think of this as a piece of lasagna. All right? So just wrap it. And it's if you have dexterity, which I don't, I do a wrap and then I hold it with my finger. I do a wrap, I hold it with my finger, and then just take your time. These are fragile materials. Do a wrap, don't let go like I just did. Try to keep it all together. Some people use hackle pliers.
Some people use a rotary vise.
Some people use a rotary vise, right? That's really, I'm not gonna say that's cheating, I think that's smarter, but it just takes time. You do one wrap, and these are fragile materials. Once you get it up to like 3/4 of the way up there, hang on to it, and then you want to capture those fibers. All right, nice, put nice 2 wraps on there, capture them, and then you can cut off those tag ends of the fibers. Okay, so right now we have that, we just built our abdomen. Now we're going to take the wire, which is step 8. Okay, wrap the wire counterclockwise 5 times, cut off using the back of the scissors. This is the back of your scissors, back here. All right, you don't want to use the front of your scissors to cut the wire because you ruin your scissors. But these scissors aren't cheap, but just take 2 seconds, pay attention to counterclockwise. So we were wrapping everything this way. Now we're going to wrap the wire counterclockwise around the pheasant tail approximately 5 times, because the trout, these are fragile materials. Trout have teeth and they will tear this fly apart.
Well, why counter wrap it?
To make it stronger.
Yeah. Otherwise it would just sink into the pheasant tail.
Yeah, that'll sink into the pheasant. And once you get up, you can just tie that off, a couple thread wraps in the front, a couple thread wraps behind, Some people helicopter off. I never have much luck with that. I'll try it today. It worked. Okay. Then you want to put in your pearl flash. We're going to use this gold and silver flash. I normally use this opal looking stuff, but I guess, so today, it's up to you if you want gold up or gold down, that's totally up to you. For this, I'm gonna put gold up. So I will tie it so that the gold is down, and then when we fold it over, the gold will be up. Place that right on top of the hook, and you wanna come to the 1/3. Right there it is. If I can follow my finger. 1/3 back on the fly and secure that. Now you grab another clump of pheasant tail. All right, about 8, because everybody knows there's 6 legs on bugs, but pheasant tails break, so that's why we go with 8. That gives us 2 for breaking. 1 on each side, hopefully. And you align those tips forward about 3/8 of an inch past this bead. You want the tips to be 3/8 of an inch past that bead. These are going to turn into your legs. So once you get it right there, I know I'm all fingers right now in front of this camera. I'm trying my best so you guys can see. Do a couple loose wraps just to hold them on top of the shank of the hook. Okay? Now, they're not on top right now, but now you can take your fingers and rotate them around. All right? Get them to about 3/8 approximately. All right? Take a couple more loose wraps to get the pheasant on top of the hook. And you're going to wrap that back to that 1/3 mark, the same place you stopped with the tinsel, so that your tinsel and your wing casing of your pheasant are all tied off at the same spot. Then you grab 2 pieces of peacock. All right, this is a pretty good peacock here. Peacock I was using last night was horrible. But peacock, again, is a real fragile material.
Peacock Hurl.
Peacock Hurl, thank you. Cut about 1 inch of the tips off. You're going to lay that on top, capture that, tie it down, let your thread go towards the front of the bead of the hook. And this is a good time right now to take a few seconds and try to spread these legs. Stroke these legs. Spread the pheasant tail tips downwards so they look like legs. All right. Sometimes you gotta wet them. Use a little bit of saliva. All right. Another trick to getting your peacock hurl to lay nice and even is bring the thread back so it's right there. Now take your peacock hurl. Now you got 3 materials here. And then using the thread, you're going to wind the hurl so that the thread holds the hurl tight to the hook. And that'll make when you rotate the hurl around for the thorax, it'll make it nice and tight and concentric.
You're making it fat?
Fatter.
You need sound effects?
Fat. No, I don't got any sound effects. What kind of sound effect do you have? Boom, boom. So then, without cutting off the legs, cut off your hurl. All right? Again, stroke those legs. This one's not being very cooperative. It might need a little persuasion. Hold the legs down. Give it a wrap. All right? Then you take what's left of your wing casing of your pheasant, bring it forward, and tie it off behind the bead. Give it 1 or 2 nice wraps. Okay, then give that a trim. Get down as close as you can. Then take your flashback material, pull that over top of the pheasant wing casing. Because what you're doing is you're building up a hump on the back of this fly to make it look like it has wings or wing buds. that. One or two behind, one or two in front. That's pretty secure. Now we clipped it off. And however you would like to finish this fly is up to you. I like to use a couple whip finishes and some head cement. Other people use half hitches with some UV cement. That's personal preference. What I like to do is I like to tie a lot of flies so I can put them in a lot of trees. But there you go. When you're all done, your finished product, you should have some legs, you should have your bead, your peacock thorax, your flashback, you should see the ribbing from your wire, you should see your tails that you originally put on. They should be approximately the same size as the shank. I hope I didn't go too fast. I can do it again. We're gonna have it on a constant video